Welcome back, welcome Black to In Black America Radio with your host Rasta B. It is Friday, what month is it? September 25th, 2020. And today's title is Breonna Taylor, Africa and COVID-19, and them crazy Democrats. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Shaq and Charles Barkley comments on the Breonna Taylor comment. We're going to talk about a lot of current events, a lot of topics. So the guest calling number is 516-531-9992. YouTube, go to In Black America Radio. Support the channel with CashApp. $BLACKWADADALLC. That's BLACKWADADALLC. And before we continue, let's bring in my co-host Smoke. Smoke, are you there?
Yo, what's poppin'?
What's good, man?
Not much, man. Yo, trying not to laugh. I was looking back at my text messages, and I was I was having a like a little text convo earlier with Fat Boy and Chuck. Fat Boy told us, man, he don't exist.
You said he don't what?
He don't exist.
He don't exist.
Yeah, Fat Boy told Chuck that he don't exist. It was all part of the conversation, but it was like, why you said that? He don't exist in no world. I'm like, oh man, come on, dog. I just read that. I just realized why. I'm like, damn, son, they didn't even respond back to what I was saying. We was having a good argument. I'm going back like, damn, what happened? I'm reading what Fat Boy said. I'm like, oh, this thing's crazy.
Hilarious.
I like it. But literally, I just saw that right before I'm calling in. I'm like, yo, these cats, that shit had me laughing. So other than that, Big Friday, you know how it go. Back in
man. A lot of bullshit, man. A lot of bullshit. A lot of topics we gotta address.
No, it just seemed to be the norm. Bunch of bullshit going on.
Yeah, man. When we are powerless in this country, we gotta take all the batter and bruises. You know, obviously, we know the outcome of the Breonna Taylor case. The cops basically didn't even charge. I mean, not the cops, but basically the police didn't get charged with the killing of Breonna Taylor. But the funny thing about that case, that a lot of people may not even know, but only one cop got indicted, right?
Yeah, man.
But that cop who got indicted, right? I can't think of his name. I'm talking off the top of my head.
Brett Hankerson, I think his name is.
Right, Hankerson, right.
Something like that, Brent.
He was already fired from the force.
Mm-hmm.
You know why he was fired for?
Mm-hmm.
For raping white woman. He would see them drunk at the bar. Yeah, that's why. So they're basically piling all that shit on him. I won't be surprised if he's in office, so. Word up, I thought that was interesting. I'm like, y'all fired this cop Hankerson because he got accused of raping multiple women. So y'all fire him from the force. And then he's the only one that y'all charge in shooting, endangering the neighbor.
Yeah, reckless shooting, basically. He was shooting reckless.
Yeah.
He shot at somebody else's crib.
Yeah, like, come on, man. But see, me, I'm not shocked by this shit. You dig what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it goes back to the original situation again. We don't have an economy. Because we don't got an economy, we don't have power, which is economic power. Economic power is how you really control your districts, your communities. That's how you get your political influence. You pay your politicians. They fight for your interests, your behalves, etc., etc., etc. We don't have that. We literally are comfortable being workers and consumers. So as we be workers and consumers, you got to say to yourself, how much protection do you think you're going to get being a worker? Put the racial dynamic aside, Smoke. As a worker, how much protection do you have? You see what I'm saying? As a consumer, somebody buying shit from a store, how much protection do you have? These are two.
Yeah, some. Customer protection.
No, both got some protection.
Yeah, it's all right.
But they're not protected above the person who's selling to the consumer. They don't got more protection than the person that's hiring the employee.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're always going to have less. At all times, you know what I'm saying? So that's my whole shit about that. It's like, because right now, really and truly, Breonna Taylor's playing the role of Mike Brown. It's the same argument, the same story, the same narrative. These ain't nothing but political blood sacrifices now. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because even when you hear the people talking, Smoke, everybody says the same shit. If y'all want to change something, vote. Y'all want to change, vote. Y'all go out and vote. And it's just like, we've seen these killings during Barack Obama administration too. We watched Black Death during the Bush administration. We watched it during the Clinton administration. We watched it during Bush again. We watched it during Reagan. I can't go no further because I was born during Reagan. But I'm pretty sure people older than me can continue down the path. You know what I'm saying? So with all these politicians, 40 years, 60 years, career politicians, these are the daughters of politicians, the sons of politicians, and they're running. Show me where you implemented policies or some type of laws that will protect your black population. See what I'm saying? You had the Bati boy, Mayor Pete. Oh, I have the Frederick Douglass plan for black people. And then we find out he wild disrespectful to black people when he was the mayor of his town. The blacks didn't even fuck with him. Then you got Kamala Harris. Kamala, what are you going to do for black people specifically? Specifically, nothing. And it's just like, damn, okay. Cory Booker, what you going to do for black people specifically? Oh, I'm not doing nothing for black people. And everybody thinks this shit's funny because we're not an economic power. And because we're not an economic power and we can't pay these people to fight for our agenda, they look at us more so like, they look at us like we work for them. Like they put us in power. You know what I'm saying? Like The role is reversed now. So now instead of the politician going out to work for your vote, black people, all they go is to the black political heads, like your Roland Martins, your Van Jones, your Jeezys, and your entertainers, and your LeBrons, and your sports athletes. And then they tell them, guilt them into voting, galvanize them into voting. And this is the crazy part, Smoke. As they try to galvanize us to vote and guilt us to vote, they openly talk about what they're willing to do and what they're willing to give to other special interest groups. This is what we're going to do for the gays. This is what we're going to do for women and women's rights. And this is what we're going to do for Latinos. And then when it comes to black people, it's like, if you don't vote, black people, you can't complain. And it's like, man, that's all the fuck we get. And then when the polls don't show, and they like, yo, black people is not enthusiastic to vote this session, then they literally wait a couple of fucking weeks, and then they start saying, okay, all right, this is what we're going to do for black people. We're going to put more money into the HBCUs. We're going to make fucking prisons bomb as hell. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make prisons fly. Yo, we're going to make that shit dope. What else niggas like? You know what I'm saying? Jobs. We're going to make sure they're working. And I guess that's pretty much it. The nigga man, he's in jail, so we got him already, right? So let's go to the nigga woman. We're going to make sure daycare is affordable. We're going to make sure you have the rights to choose whatever schools you want to go to. And it's like, this general shit, what the fuck does it got to do with the black community? In the sense of
generic shit.
Specifics, yeah. In the sense of specifics. Because if I'm sitting here talking about general nationwide change, the school system, the prison system, working and health care for all, and workers' wages and all kinds of stuff. That's for the nation. Oh, that's for the nation.
It's just generic cookie cutter shit. It's like whenever they need us, they can say or do X, Y, Z. As long as it fits within that narrative, then they feel like they can get us to move in droves to vote for certain candidates. And so that's all you see is like anytime it's a call for black people to come forward to vote. It's a song and dance that happens. If it happened through the entertainers, it's a dance attached to it. It's a new slang attached to it. It's just something there to drive in the youth. But it's the same old dance, same old song, same old cookie cutter shit. And it's like, we should see that shit. That's the thing. It's like, we should see that shit. But, with this time, it's like, the time is always now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we should definitely just be paying attention to what it's like. You can almost predict what exactly they're going to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Prison reform, education reform. Now they pushing the HBCUs, donating money there. It's the same thing, but it's all generic shit. You know what I'm saying? And you see the push.
Because here goes, Mo.
Okay.
I'm the politician. You say, listen, me and my family, we're going through hardship. We need programs, we need policies, we need things that's going to help our community. Our community got high child unemployment, high adult unemployment, crime is out of control, blah, 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 right? Now, we all know these are byproducts of not having an economy, right? But this is the condition. Then the politician says, you know what I'm going to do for you, Smoke, for your vote? We're going to repave your streets. We're going to repave your streets. We're going to plant more trees. and we're gonna paint our basketball courts and add hoops, shit like that, in all the parks in the neighborhood, in your community. And it's like, thank you, but I'm talking about how you can help me right now. You know what I'm saying? So if, as the black community is saying, we're looking for something, and even though the fault is we're not coming with a plan, we keep asking what you're going to do for us. So we know that's the problem. But it's just funny because everything presented is national. These are national problems. These aren't specific issues. When you saying gay people could get married, that's specific for gays. That have nothing to do with anybody else besides gay people. If you're saying, oh, you got to call a boy a girl and a girl a boy because there's some tranny shit, that's specific for that group. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about, oh, we got to do something for abortion and reproductive rights or whatever, what I got to do with men? That's specific for that group. But then when black people say we want to, well, we got to do something, amnesty and DACA, and what we going to do about the border, that's specific for that group. When you hear about H-1B1 visas or whatever, I might be saying it wrong, HB1 visas or some shit like that, that's those visas if you have a certain skill. You can come like the Indians do. Again, that's for that specific group. But when black Americans start talking about what we want, then everybody start getting spooky. Now, nobody don't know what reparations is, Bernie Sanders. Nobody don't understand why we asking for shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the wildest thing. And I already know that they're going to be doing the blame game for black people. You already know that's going to be the narrative. Because here's the new shit right now, Smoke. September 17th, Yahoo News. Biden looks to engage black men on issues. And rapper Jeezy approves. Jeezy, Snowman. So they say he's saying former Vice President Joe Biden is hoping that barbershop conversations will equate to an increase in vote turnout for the Democratic presidential nominee among black men in November. Modeled similarly to LeBron James' hit HBO show, The Shop, which presented unfiltered conversations and debate from the biggest names in sports and entertainment. Biden's campaign launched his own version called Shop Talk. So LeBron had The Shop, and I guess Simone Sanders, right? You know, Big Mouth Simone Sanders, because she's part of the Biden campaign. They probably said, Simone Sanders, how can we get the black men? He said, I don't know. Maybe we should go to the barbershop. Big ass mouth, you know what I'm saying? Let's call it Shop Talk. Last month. The weekly forum is a virtual roundtable discussion with prominent black men on the challenges they face across the country. Now, I ain't finished reading this, Smoke, but I just want to build on a little something. So, they said the weekly forum is a virtual roundtable discussion with prominent black men on the challenges they face across the country. So we're complaining. So we're talking about the same shit we've been talking about when Joe Biden wrote his 94 crime bill. Because guess what? The same problems in 94 is the same problems in 2020. Tell me I'm lying. Same problems.
I say that. But the thing that stands out to me, because like you had said in the beginning, when you started reading the title, sometimes with these titles, right. The article is a surprise. You know what I mean? So like when you said that, I was thinking earlier, like how they trying to the Democratic Party is trying to promote to black men now, like from last minute. But they pretty much doing it through sports and entertainment. So when you said, so you mentioned the title with Jeezy, I just thought entertainment. So it's like, right now it's the NBA playoffs. So, I've been catching that, and literally that shit is just a promotion to vote. These cats got the vote shirts, like the warm-up jersey, the warm-up shirts got vote on it, a big vote. It's in like every team color or whatever, the cats that's left. The court was saying Black Lives Matter. They had the Black Lives messages on the back. Chris Paul, he's like the head of the NBA Players Association. He teaming up with the Democratic Party to push voting. So they just pushing all of that shit through sports, through everything, all the sports that's on right now. They got black people, mostly NBA and NFL.
But Smoke, the stats show that black men love sports.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it make sense for us to target black men in sports?
Yep.
The other stats say that we can get black men if we go to prison, but we don't allow the prisoners to vote. So we can only use the stats for sports. So I guess that's how they could target us.
Yeah.
But when I tell you the most ridiculous shit, so watch this part right here. So they said the program launched on the heels of the shooting of Jacob Blake, right? A 29-year-old black man who was shot in the back. They said that in Kenosha. They said the guest for the debut show, when it debuted, it was attorney Bakari Sellers, actor Terrence J., Rep. Cedric Richmond, and I know who he is, the Democrat from Louisiana. He's I want to say he might be the head of the CBC or something like that too. And music producer Jermaine Dupri. Right? So now remember I told you the weekly forum is a virtual roundtable discussion with prominent black men on the challenges they face across the country. Then they said this week's participant will include rapper Jeezy and Michigan Rep. Jules Jones. And the conversation will focus on how black men's issues impact the nation. Right? I don't even know what the fuck that means. Okay, this is the title. The discussion will focus on how black men's issues impact the nation. When have black men issues impacted the nation? When have anybody give a fuck what goes on with black men?
Now.
Oh, because we need your vote.
The time is now,
vote. So, what you need, black man? Let me know. I'm on your side, brother. Come on, man.
Wait, brother. Now. Let's get it. Come on.
Let's get it, yo. You my dog. Stop the malarkey. It's like, come on.
You can sell votes.
Yo, this is what Jeezy says. I'm looking for insight, understanding, and clarity. Grammy-nominated artist Jeezy, whose real name is J. Wayne Jenkins, said of participating in the series, I am happy to ask questions that I want to know and get answers. Listen to the nothingness that's being said. I'm looking for insight, understanding, and clarity. I am happy to ask questions that I want to know and get answers. Jeezy said he hopes Shop Talk will achieve its goal and get more black men to the polls. Oh, so that's what the goal is. So the goal isn't nothing else but to get your black ass to the poll. Being a man of the people and a black man in America, I feel I need to encourage the people to get out there and use the tool of voting. We can't just be upset. We have to get out here. I've got to get out here and do what I can do. In June, Jeezy joined the NAACP March on Georgia to demand an end to systematic racism, police brutality, and voter suppression. He's even marched with his son in recent months. My message has been clear. Ain't no justice, no peace. I'm tired of burying my homeboys. I'm tired of sending my boys money in prison. We have to get out here and fight for what we want. Now, this is what's funny, Smoke, about all of this, especially somebody like Jeezy, right? Let's say that rumor's true about the letter that circulated in the 90s and how the prison industry told the rappers or the rap execs at that time to, invest in the prisons and promote a lot of that criminal activity through the music. If that's true, right, Smoke? Yeah, if that's true, how weird is it that these same people that promote our destruction, promotes the criminality, promotes the image and the narrative that we're criminals, then turn around and talk about fighting injustices when you make melodies about us being nothing? Like, how do you then turn around and say, I'm speaking for the people? Like, I don't get that.
That's
your whole career is about selling cocaine.
Contradiction.
It's the wildest shit to me, yo. And it's wild to me because what happened is the babies grow up and then they get used to seeing that. You see what I'm saying? They get used to seeing that. And then they start to think, oh, yeah, Jeezy, he's speaking for us. Little baby speaking for us. Like, these people make money off of denigrating the hood. Because you have to remember, Smoke, when we was younger, we dealing with people that denigrated the hood also. Yeah, so, I mean, I can't say nothing else other than that. Yeah, they denigrated the hood also. But I guess prior to that generation, it was more like speaking about the experiences in the hood. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to say our generation started that because I remember being young, reading the Source magazine and Blaze and shit like that. And I remember the number one thing that you would see in the Source magazine or XXL magazine when it first came out was how many of them rappers had college degrees. How many of them rappers had two-parent households? How many of them rappers was middle-class suburban kids? You see what I'm saying? And then their poison seeped to the next generation. And then you had kids now rapping about actually murdering somebody. And you had kids that was actually out here selling drugs after they got a record deal. So they didn't start that. They're the babies of the poison. But a lot of the rappers of our era, those let's say Biggie's and let me think of another one because Biggie life wasn't as rough as he made it. I want to say the who else went to college? Was it Redman went to college and busted him? And there's a lot of them rappers of that era.
Yeah, I know Redman went to college.
Yeah, it was a lot of them, and it was just, and if you look, and that's the whole point. So you're not promoting this shit. So now you have kids thinking degradation is the path I can take for monetary gain, wealth, and fame because I'm watching this rapper do it. That was the issue with Plies. He out here, that bullshit, baby. And then when he's talking like a scholar. But it's like, but why are you telling these kids that goon shit got you where you was at? When you don't talk like that in the board. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking to the white people. You don't talk like that when you're getting them sponsor deals. You don't do that. You talk regular. You show manners. You know what I'm saying? But then when you're teaching the babies, you like, I'll kick in the door. I shoot her. I have babies. I don't take care of them. I'm a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? And then the babies grow. Yeah, running off on plugs. Come on, man. You're increasing fucking crime. Really and truly, put drugs and criminality away from running off on the plug. You know what running off the plug really doing? That's COINTELPRO. Because when you run off on the plug, what you're doing now is you're sowing distrust. You see what I'm saying? Because it don't got to be drugs. My plug could be Smoke, who's a wholesaler. You know what I'm saying? Of T-shirts or of different products. And then as one black man to another black man, I get something from him on co-assignment. And now when it's time to pay that man back, I run off.
Keep the money.
You know what I'm saying? Straight up, now I run off and shit like that. Like, come on, that's COINTELPRO. Yeah, that's COINTELPRO because now you're causing distrust amongst the community because now once you do that, I'm like, yo, I would never give a nigga a chance like that again. And that's what COINTELPRO is. You know what I'm saying? So I know we talked about Biden going viral for playing Despacito at a Florida campaign stop, trying to get the Native Americans. But I want to talk about. All right, so here go one right here. This is an interesting story right here, Smoke. September 19th for Variety magazine. The title, MLK FBI Review, an incendiary documentary about the FBI surveillance of the secret life of Martin Luther King Jr. So they go, at a moment when the personal lives of artists and celebrities are being placed under the spotlight as almost never before, the secret life of Martin Luther King Jr. now seems more than the disquieting semi-submerged footnote it once did. It long been public knowledge that King, during most of his time of his leadership, which began in 1955 with the Montgomery bus boycott and ended with his death on April 4th, 1968, had many adulterous affairs, and that the FBI started in 1963 to put him under surveillance, surreptitiously recording hours of King with his mistress and other women in hotels, How does this reality affect our perception of King's greatness as a leader? I expect that might be the subject of MLK/FBI, a tensely observed documentary about how the Federal Bureau of Investigation under J. Edgar Hoover came to see itself as part of an establishment war against King, one that wound up being waged with the cooperation of American leaders, notably Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy and President Lyndon Johnson. The Kennedys were allies of King and the civil rights movement, but it was Bobby Kennedy who first approved the use of FBI wiretaps on King. And I'm going to put a stop right there. Now, just to go backwards, the reason why it's important, this part is important, the Kennedys were allies of King and the civil rights movement. But it was Bobby Kennedy who first approved the use of the FBI wiretaps on King. And the reason why that's important, Smoke, is to show you dumb-ass black people out there who keep on thinking, these white allies, and, you know what I'm saying, they're my friends, and all. They'll be the ones that's going to put the wiretap on you first. It wasn't J. Edgar Hoover. No, he had to get shit approved. He can't do shit without approval. So who's the one that approved it? The Kennedys, who was allies. You know allies? Don't we use that term now, right, Smoke? That's my white ally. Well, the Kennedys were our white allies.
My guardian angel.
And they approved the FBI wiretap. They also spoke when they talked this Martin Luther King with cheating bullshit, right? Do I know was he cheating or not? No. Why? Because I wasn't born. You see what I'm saying? But if you got audio, I want to hear that. The reason why is because there's a documentary on Reynard Bayard. Wait, let me say his name.
Baynard Russell. I know you're talking about the gay dude.
Yeah, the gay dude.
Yeah, he got Baynard Ruskin. Baynard Ruskin or some shit like that. I know you're talking about that.
Yeah, Bayard Rustin.
Yeah, I know you.
The reason why it's important to mention Bayard Rustin is because he's the one that really introduced the whole nonviolent movement strategy to Martin Luther King coming out of India, right? And when the FBI seen that King was using tactics from him, like basically Bayard was like the strategist.
Right.
The FBI told King that if you don't kick Bayard Rustin out of the organization, we're going to spread a rumor that y'all fucking. Straight up. Look at the documentary for Bayard Rustin. I can't think of what's the name of his. It's called Brother Outside. It's on Amazon.com. It's called Brother Outside: The Life of Bayard Rustin. Okay? In that documentary, that's what they say. And they say that the FBI said if you don't kick him out of the group, out y'all movement, we're going to spread a rumor that y'all fucking. So unless there's audio, I'm not taking none of that shit serious, yo, that they talk about Martin Luther King. Because they already showed that they're a lie. I'm not taking none of the people smoke that might even say, oh, no, it's true. He was out here fucking on the road. Because half of y'all was agents. Now, if it come out and it's true, okay, I don't give a fuck about that. But I'm not listening to these stories. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, if you're gonna blackmail me with the homosexuality, you're already blackmailing me with the cheating, with the adultery shit. This 1955. The adultery shit is sensational. That's some real shit. During that time, it's not like 2020. You know what I'm saying? And you a black leader and you getting some buns on the side, and the FBI tell your woman, and your woman like, and who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's 2020. No, this is 1955. You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm making is there's a reason for these changing of the narrative. There's a reason for this, oh, the Nation of Islam want to start to say Malcolm X was funny. They want to say Khalid Muhammad was funny. They had repressed fucking sexual shits about themselves when it comes to, man, get the fuck out of here, man. Y'all want to say this shit now, and what I always say, Smoke, is they don't want to replicate it. They don't want to replicate it. If you replicate Martin Luther King is not no non-violent marching nigga. That's not Martin Luther King. That was a strategy. Martin Luther King is the dude that got legislation passed. That's Martin Luther King.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Martin Luther King is not the non-violent, that's not Martin Luther King. That's a strategy. That's a strategy. The man is the man who put the legislation on the books. That's what King is. That's what they don't want to replicate. When they talk about Malcolm X, they don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to Malcolm X. Because to understand Malcolm X, you have to go down the line that takes you back to Booker T. Washington. So they talk about Malcolm X, and all they talk about is his rhetoric. But that's not Malcolm X. Your rhetoric. See, I don't really like talking about Malcolm X because he was a follower, and then by the time he stopped following, he ended up getting assassinated. So let me go to Elijah Muhammad. They don't speak about Elijah Muhammad. Let's go there with him. Because Elijah Muhammad really doesn't get slandered. You know what I'm saying? The most slander you hear is, he got other women or young women pregnant outside of his marriage. Like I said, it's 2020. Nobody tripping off of buns. So the question becomes, why y'all don't speak about Elijah Muhammad? Because Elijah Muhammad isn't the religious leader or the group leader or the leader of the Nation of Islam or the man who had children outside of his marriage with young women. No. Elijah Muhammad is a man who created an economy. The man created you dig what I'm saying? That's who Elijah Muhammad is. They don't want to replicate that. So then they assassinate these people, characters and shit like that, because they don't want to replicate that. They don't care if we talk. That's why I had to start with the Malcolm X part. Because I started to go, but then I was like, because they don't care if we talk fiery. They don't care if we talk fiery. They don't want us to galvanize. If you're galvanizing, if you're captivating, they don't want to replicate that. That's Tupac. I'll say that's Malcolm. That part, the galvanizing part. That's Khalid Muhammad, the galvanizing part. But they don't want us to. They don't want the galvanizing either. So then they'll attack these things. So now they put you. Malcolm's a racist, but they end up easing up off of that later on. Khalid Muhammad is a racist, but they could just ignore Khalid Muhammad. Tupac is a gangster. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm saying that, you could tell that's the narrative because every time somebody want to emulate these people, that's what they do. Martin Luther King, nonviolence marching. So if you say, I want to be Martin Luther King, the first thing you think is nonviolence and marching.
Right.
You never think getting legislation passed. You never think getting legislation passed. The first thing you think is nonviolent and marching.
Yeah, that's why
they don't
he
even
getting a lot of negativity.
You say what?
Yeah, I say he be getting a lot of negativity from the hood in that regard. Just like, you know, I mean, you hear people say like, you know, we ain't with that Martin shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We with the Malcolm shit. You know, they with the, you know, we with
rhetoric,
looking out, peeping out the, you know, out the blinds type shit instead of like getting sprayed down by hoses. But like you say,
we want rhetoric.
Yeah, that's what's been painted in your head. So when you hear those names, it's like the picture that, you know, that corresponds with, you know, with that name or whatever. So yeah, that's real. It's
the craziest shit. And that's why legislation, Martin Luther King did not say to Lyndon Johnson, what are you going to do for us? He came with legislation. Legislation got put on the books. That's what Martin Luther King did. And if you look at Martin Luther King with the movement, he a strategist. He played chess with white America. He said, oh, okay, so every time we tell y'all that y'all racist down south, y'all find different ways to wiggle out of it to convince liberal whites that, nah, that's not how we act. We good to our niggas. You know what I'm saying? And what Martin Luther King said, he said, okay, I got something. He got information from Bayard Rustin with the nonviolence movement shit. And he was like, okay, let's implement that. This is war. Martin Luther King's a general. He's a lieutenant. He's a sergeant. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I don't know the ranks and all that shit, but you know what I'm saying? You got Rustin Bett. He's a second in command, and you got Andrew Jackson and Hosea Williams, and this is a squad. They went to war, white America. They played them because now we have the television. We can show through video and picture how people moving civil is being disrespected due to the fact that they're a different race. And once we showed that this was happening, them laws slowly got knocked the fuck down. So to not let this happen again, we're gonna change the outlook of who Martin Luther King is. We're gonna change who he is, and we're just gonna make him the nonviolent marching nigga. That's what we're gonna make him. He the nigga that just wanted black and white people to run up and down the mountaintop and shit. You know what I'm saying? He had a dream and all kind of shit like that. No, this man sat here and he had a strategy and a plan. And his strategy and his plan was so fucking good that the the FBI and everybody else was hell-bent not only in wiretapping him and shit like that, but flipping members of his fucking crew. Flipping members of the crew. Like Jesse Jackson and shit like that. So because we don't study the real Martin Luther King, why the FBI was so fucking hard-pressed in investigating him, we'll listen to so-called black leaders say, what's your plan for black America, Trump? And think that's revolutionary. We'll sit here and see people say, we ain't talking to 45, and think that's revolutionary. Because we don't understand what Martin Luther King did when he had legislation. Now, if you look at legislation and say, yo, well, I don't agree with his legislation, then you come up with your own legislation. And you add and you correct that legislation, or you strengthen that legislation. That's how these things work. But the reason why we don't get it, Smoker, there's no economy behind us. There's no economy behind us. You know every month you got to pay bills. So them bills coming every month is the motivation for you to go to work and get money. Because you got to make sure you cover that. You see what I'm saying? If we had an economy, we'll know what to tell these politicians to do for us. But it's hard to say what I want when I can only speak as an individual. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? Can I get free rent for a year? Well, how that help black people? You see what I'm saying? How you help black people is through an economy. Just like when people disrespect the Jews, you got to donate to them. You don't donate to a person. You donate to the organization that would disseminate whatever funds or resources to the community. We don't have that because we don't have an economy. It's a bigger picture, and we don't get it. So then we end up falling for the trickery all the time because we think getting national rewards is the same as getting something specifically for your group. Because we'll say, well, it's good they paved the roads because we needed the roads paved. Yeah, but you ain't the only one riding these roads. Everybody riding the fucking road. Your house is the house that's falling apart. Or your school that your children go to is run down and raggedy. Yeah, I get that, but look, they built a new park. But how do that help you, though? Oh, my kids could play there, though. Right, but your school is still fucked up. It makes no, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because we don't have nothing to claim as our own, to defend, to protect, we're individuals, like pawns in somebody else's game. So then, when that happens, you end up getting this, Smoke. Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal drew a backlash for pushing back on Breonna Taylor outrage. Many prominent figures in his,
Barkley,
Charles Barkley. Yeah, but he ain't a shock, and really Shaq ain't a shock, cause he police.
Yeah, Shaq flies.
But for him to cross over and just say, let me join the Charles Barkley part officially, it's like, no thanks, Sean. Because he was hood. He was street. He repped the people. You see what I'm saying?
They boys, too. They homies, too.
How?
So. I said they homies,
No.
too. So.
I'm talking about from young. I'm talking about from the beginning. Because if you remember, really, Shaq was just like Kobe when he first came into the league. Everybody, all eyes was on Shaq. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
and Shaq is from the hood. We like, yeah. So for him to turn into this right here, it's like, word, I bet. Nobody should be eating Papa John's, but if you black and you eat Papa John's after the owner was saying nigger and all kind of shit like that, and now Shaq is on some other shit, anti-black shit, I don't know what's up, what you got to do to be part of Papa John's board, but clearly you got to be anti-black. So it goes, many prominent figures in the sports world, including Los Angeles Lakers stars LeBron James and Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, have voiced their outrage against the decision to not charge Louisville police officers for the killing of Breonna Taylor. Before Thursday game before the Lakers, and then Barkley said that Taylor case shouldn't be, quote-unquote, lumped in with the killing of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. He pointed to Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, firing on the plainclothes Louisville police officers that was executing a no-knock warrant as a reason why. From the Hollywood Reporter, I don't think this one was like George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery and things like that, Barkley began. I feel sad that this young lady lost her life. I think this one was the no-knock warrant is something we need to get rid of across the board. But I am worried to lump all these situations in together. He continued, and I just feel bad that the young lady lost her life. But we do have to take into account that her boyfriend shot at the cops and shot a cop. So like I say, even though I'm really sorry she lost her life, I just don't think we can put this in the same situation as George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery. Then Barkley found some agreement from the co-host, Shaquille O'Neal. Well, excuse me. It says Barkley found some agreement from his co-host with an S. So I'm assuming it's more than one. Because then they said huh?
Yeah, they got.
Because I know you know this.
Ernie is the host. Ernie the Jester. Ernie, what's Ernie's last name? I forget. What? It's four people on the show. Shaq, Barkley, Kenny Smith, who is another basketball player, and Ernie. He got some sort of basketball background, but he's a white dude. He's not a player. If he was, he might have been one of the old school joints or something. But yeah. So
he says, well, right, so they say including Shaquille O'Neal. He said, I have to agree with Charles. This one is sort of lumped in. I don't even know what that lumped in should even mean. You have to get a warrant signed, and some states do allow no-knock warrants. And everyone was asking for murder charges. When you talk, now listen to this, because this is the same shit that was said about the Trayvon. When you talk about murder, you have to show intent. A homicide occurred, and we're sorry a homicide occurred. When you have a warrant signed by a judge, you are doing your job. And I would imagine that you would fire back. So, you know, Shaq is he was deputized in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So just like,
he's police. Support for his boy.
Yeah, he's police. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but see, the reason why they could do shit like that, Smoke, is because again we have no economy. So there's no value here. There's no value. They're not saying that to Mexicans. They don't want to offend Mexicans. They're not saying that to gays. They don't want to offend gays. They're not saying that about women because they don't want to offend women. They're not saying that. Who else am I missing? Jews. They don't want to offend Jews. They're not saying that to Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not doing that shit. But when it comes to black people, they could do that because we are workers and we are consumers. So there's no value. And then on top of that, Smoke, we don't want to be dominant. We want to be individuals within the system that we complain about. So then as we're individual pawns within this system, individually trying to come up, they could pick us off one by one, and then the ones who see it, us who see it, especially the talking heads with the money, they don't want to offend their neighbors. That's what we don't talk about, Smoke. They should not. If you live primarily around white people, you should not be, and you're black, you should not be allowed to speak on racial issues. Period. That's it. I can't even add nothing else to that. You shouldn't be allowed to speak on racial issues because you're not going to feel comfortable speaking like your truth, knowing you have to see these people again because you live around them.
Just like these athletes.
Huh?
Just like the athletes.
Exactly.
They don't
just like the athletes.
So they say some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
because see, they're not keeping it real.
Let me not offend my people. These people around here. Let me not offend these people.
Because my son hangs out at their house. My daughter, they and their son, they go to their school. I want him to get an intern at this white person's firm. So I don't want to get caught out there like Nick Cannon, say some slick shit. They light my ass up. And now when I get to my house and shit, I got a bunch of toilet tissue in my front yard. Nigga spray painted on my garage. Now my son or my daughter want to go to their friend's house, and their parents like, hell no, your father racist. And now my kid's like, fuck you, Dad. You ruined my life. I'm like, because we see how these black men act. What's the black man? Is it Derrick Rose? Not Derrick Rose. Jalen Rose, right? Who got the white woman?
Yeah. She on the show with Stephen A. Well, she was.
Right, and they had this. And they had the issue with the ball father, right?
Yeah, Lonzo. Not Lonzo. Was Lonzo.
Yeah, and remember, if you've seen him on, he was being interviewed on Vlad TV. We don't get into Vlad. Vlad TV. Oh no, we already got into Vlad. Fuck Vlad. Let everybody else talk about Vlad. But when he was getting interviewed on Vlad TV, he out there talking like, and you know, happy wife, happy life, and I'm looking at him like, yo, you put your ass for that lifestyle, and now you acting like you have to be up under her to live. I read another article, Smoke. Black man. I walk around the neighborhood with my mixed child, so I'm feel safe walking in my white neighborhood. And I'm like, what? Why would you live in a neighborhood? Huh?
What did you say? You walk around with what?
He's black. His wife is white. They live in a predominantly white neighborhood, right? This story came out when Ahmaud Arbery got murdered. So he said he walks around his neighborhood, like exercise or whatever, right? But he takes his mixed daughter with him. So people realize this is like he lives in a neighborhood type shit.
Yeah,
he just
like
not some random. You saw her?
He letting people know what side of the fence he on. Hey.
Yeah. Like, I'm not just some random black guy walking here. I'm someone's father. And it's just like, goddamn, you know what I'm saying? But these people are not and should not be allowed to speak on black issues. Now, if you're in that position and you can honestly speak and you don't care about the backlash, that's one thing. Other than that, you shouldn't be able to speak, for real. Because you speaking on black issues knowing that you live around white people is like asking me my opinion about my manager at work with my manager at her desk. I'm going to say some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to keep it real. Yeah.
You're not going to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not going to be honest. I got to come back here tomorrow. Hopefully, if I don't get fired. You know what I'm saying? For being too honest. So it's like
if you tied
they're
in
in the
with
same
certain
position.
shit, you're going to have bias towards it. So if you got a white wife, white in-laws, you're going to be biased to a white opinion versus your opinion because you got to deal with it. You're around police, you're going to have a more bias. Like, all right, I'm around these people, my neighbors is all police. You're going to be chilling. You ain't going to be going as hard, and that's just how it is, man. Like,
keep it buck,
but the thing is, we're not going to take that into account. That's why I really don't like the athletes and shit like that for them to even be standing for that shit. Because it always become a point where they compromise themselves. As soon as their money is really compromised to a certain point, they're going to curb what they're saying. They're going to curb that message. So to me, it's like, yo, just get your money and give to the community. Build the communities on the back end. You know what I'm saying? But it's like a lot of when you hear these cats talking, they ain't even being honest. They ain't talking, man.
No, the agent's talking. That's who's talking. The agents,
That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, the agent's talking.
You're a controversial figure. Make sure you get on the right side of this.
Get on the right side of this shit, man. Talk this, say something. Yeah. This gonna build your profile.
Yeah, Shaq a money cat, so you already know he know. He like, all right, I got this. I know how to deal with this. I agree with you, Chuck. Chuck's on the hoop, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But the thing is like, I just hate when we get, wound up behind basketball players. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, these, guys who acquire wealth. You know what I'm saying? So you don't necessarily want to hate on that part of it. But it's like, at the end of the day, these are guys who go out for the entertainment of the people. It's the same thing as like, turning on a movie or some shit. It's like, don't get me wrong, we in America, so people, everybody got their opinion. They can broadcast their opinion. You can get on YouTube and make a video and shoot that shit everywhere. So everybody has their opinion, but these ain't leaders. So for us to really just sit here, it's like that. Shit like that should be expected for these athletes. It should be expected for us to be upset about it. Like, I get the tone. Like, yeah, this nigga's out of line. He shouldn't be saying shit like that. Cool. But
we don't remember. The 90s is when they made the athlete. I ain't going to say it's when they made the athlete because that might be before my time. But the 90s is when they made the rapper the leaders of the black generation. Because if you remember, that's when they used to hit that with Snoop. They used to hit that with the basketball players. They used to be like, but aren't you a role model? You're a role model for the youth. They used to be like, yo, I ain't no role model. And that used to be that whole attitude and backlash. Like, I ain't no role model. Your parents need to be your role model.
Well, you're not talking about Charles Barkley specifically, but specifically Charles Barkley had a whole Nike campaign around I'm not a role model shit.
Yeah.
Because he had said that shit in like one of his joints, and they made a whole commercial about that shit. A whole Nike campaign.
Yeah. And that's my whole shit. And I remember when
said he's not a
parents
role model, so you already know. You already know what's falling out of
mouth. These are the shits I remember when I was like a kid, like when I was like 11 years old watching this shit. I remember this shit, you know what I'm saying? And because we don't reflect back, we forget how it started. And then we start to think this is how it always was. Nah, yo. All this shit's by design. All this shit's by design. Watch this, folks. Black Lives Matter remove language about disrupting the nuclear family from the website. September 21st, 2020. The official Black Lives Matter website no longer includes language encouraging the disruption of the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. The language has been featured on the site What We Believe page, in which the group had laid out its support for various extreme policies and ideals that went beyond police reform and brutality. Now, where have we heard that, Smoke? Where have we heard a group who laid out support or had different agendas, they said, from various extreme policies and ideals that went beyond their actual agenda? That was the trend.
You said a black group?
No. I said what group?
Oh,
that was the trend. Remember back a couple shows ago? Maybe a couple of years. Maybe it might have been last year. But that's when the trannies was like, yes, we're going to push laws that benefit us, obviously, and other laws that basically have nothing to do with us. But they're pushing shit. And it was like, what the hell you mean y'all pushing laws that's obviously for y'all and other laws that have nothing to do with y'all? How y'all pushing laws for other people? So it's the same shit I hear over here, in which the group had laid out its support for various extreme policies and ideals that went beyond police reform and brutality. So what other policies you talking about that goes beyond police reform and brutality? Attempts to access the page now yields a message that reads, "Page not found. Sorry."
Shut it down. Yo, okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Your mic muted.
Oh, no, the shit just made a weird noise. It was like, doo, doo, doo. So I didn't know what happened. All right, let me get back in this thing.
Yeah, I ain't hear that, but.
All right, well, that's good, man. Shit. I was about to cut everything off and start again and shit. You know, I wasn't getting too deep and shit, of course. All right. So it goes.
I said shut it down and then that happened. I'm like, oh, shit.
So it goes. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, so it's all good. So it goes. Where was I?
They shut the page down.
All right, so right, page not found, sorry. But the page you were trying to view does not exist. So the page has described the group as a global black family that engages comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context, according to an archive. We make our spaces family-friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work quote-unquote double shifts so they can be mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. The organization wrote, "We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended family and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable." The website still features an about page that explains the origin of the organization. It was founded in 2013 after the death of Trayvon Martin and featured a short list of its goals. The about page say the group mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. The page reads, "We are working for a world where black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. The organization has recovered criticism for its extreme views." Now, what you didn't hear, Smoke? Black man. You see what I'm saying?
Not at all.
Didn't hear black man. And that's the shit that's amazing to me. They made sure to say in the first thing, we affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks. That's the first group. Then disabled folks, and undocumented folks, and folks with records, and women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. So I guess black men just have to figure out where do we stand? Are we disabled? Unless you got a record, right? I guess we're the ones with the record. Because look, they specifically said woman.
Yeah,
that's what I found interesting. They said, look, they said folks with records. They said woman, and then they're gonna say in all black lives along the gender spectrum, meaning all them black people with all them other weird, funny fluids and tits and bits and all that other crazy shit. So at the end of the day, so y'all don't even fuck with men LGBT, and this Black Lives Matter shit, and then started the shit off the death of a young black boy, Trayvon Martin.
Crazy.
Started it off of his death and talking about, like, yo, this is disgusting, yo. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. When you look at the whole grand scheme of this shit, yo. When you look at the whole grand scheme of this shit. And then they passed this shit through throughout the countries and shit like that, and they mask it as this is for black people. This shit ain't got nothing to do with black people. It's literally a push to keep black men and black women separated, y'all. And if it ain't happening globally already, trust me, it's at your back door. It's at the back door. Now, Smoke, I know you got a story about some Chinese in New York.
China, man. Yeah, I gotta find it.
Yeah, man, let's get on these Chinese heads.
I just had it.
Yeah, set that one up. In the meanwhile, I'll tell you, I'll get into one of this, Africa. Health, this is BBC, September 23rd. Health chief hails Africa's fight against COVID-19. The head of Africa, all right, well, let me just get into the story. Okay, go. All African states introduced a series of measures to tackle the virus as soon as the first case was reported in March. Many, including South Africa, introduced nationwide lockdowns, but others, such as Ethiopia, opted for less strict measures. Dr. Nkin Gasong, however, attribute the low number to a joint continental effort which focused on scaling up testing and following up contact tracing and, very importantly, masking, or the wearing of face masks. Countries, including Ethiopia where I live, if you go to the street of Addis Ababa, you will see there is almost 100% masking. Africa, a relatively young population, also attributes to the low number of cases. Furthermore, the emphasis on community-driven initiatives and experience in contact tracing from fighting disease like Ebola had helped countries to tackle the virus. The virus is in the community, and without a strong community response and strong community engagement, there is no chance we can fight it. They say the warning over a possible second wave. The drop in the number of COVID cases on the continent is mainly driven by South Africa, which accounts for nearly half of Africa's cases, but also a big proportion of tests. As of Tuesday, South Africa had conducted more than 4 million tests. In comparison, the entire continent of more than 50 countries crossed the 10 million test mark a month ago. Yeah, we could do it like that. But they showing the numbers. They showing Asia got like 100,000, compared to the population. Europe like 50,000. North America like 50,000. East, let's say about 10,000. Latin America and Caribbean America got about 60,000. And Africa got about maybe 5,000. Very low amongst everybody. And it's funny because, remember, Africa had the COVID, natural remedy, things of this nature. And in the beginning of the pandemic, I made mention that. Yeah, COVID organics. And I mentioned that it seemed like everybody was mad because Africa wasn't suffering these large deaths from COVID. They act like they had a problem that Africa wasn't suffering. So that was interesting to me too. But you got that other story?
Yeah. Let's see, this from Fox Business. Chinese spies infiltrating U.S. law enforcement, business world, a real threat. NYPD commissioner. Let's see, Chinese spies infiltrating U.S. law enforcement and the business world poses a real threat to the country. New York City Police Commissioner Dermot Shea said on Friday, "I think this is something everyone should be aware of," Shea told Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo during an interview. "Not just NYPD, but any business should be aware of. This is a real threat." Shea's comments came several days after federal prosecutors charged a New York City police officer, who is also a U.S. Army reservist, with acting as an illegal agent of China since 2018. This guy got a crazy name, but Bama J. Angwang. We just call him B.A. B.A., a natural U.S. citizen from Tibet, worked since 2018 as an agent for the People's Republic of China in its effort to suppress the movement, according to a criminal complaint filed in Brooklyn Federal Court. It says that he secretly worked for unnamed handlers from the Chinese consulate in New York. So he was moving in silence, basically. There was no allegation that Ang Wang compromised national security or New York Police Department operation. Still, he was considered the definition of an insider threat. William Sweeney, head of FBI's New York officer said in a statement. Along with being an NYPD officer, Ngwang is a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army Reserve who was given security clearance by the Department of Defense, according to court papers that accuse him of lying during a background check that got him that status. Ngwang's job as a spy for China was to locate potential intelligence sources and identify potential threats to the PRC in the New York metropolitan area, court papers say. He also was expected to provide consular officials access to senior NYPD officials through invitations to official NYPD events. So he's basically linking up his crew, linking his connects.
Yeah.
And it just finishes off was the commissioner said he could not get into specifics of the case because it's an ongoing investigation, but warned it's something the country should take extremely serious. To not be worried about that, I wouldn't be doing my job, he said. So that pretty much finishes that off as far as the article. So it's pretty much detailing how, the Chinese, they have a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And they willing to abide by it from, the highest levels down to the people themselves, you know what I'm saying? And so, according to the NYPD, the guy was there, B.A., he's there to collect information. So they have a strategy of collecting information and identifying threats. That should sound like something we could be doing, like, for real.
Exactly.
So, you have that, but you also have the threat of infiltration is real. These aren't any of the groups that we're in. You got black NYPD officers, but NYPD don't represent black. But it's easy for someone to just come in and take your information. So you gotta be careful about who we letting in, especially when you're talking about these organizations. Who's talking? What they talking about? Are they starting conflict? These are things that we need to pay attention to when you got groups, when you bringing in groups and shit like that, and you dealing with information. So, overall, these Chinese.
But Smoke, they're people of color though. The Chinese is people of color. They're minorities. They could be part of our group, right?
That's what you want. That's what you want.
You know what I'm saying? We don't get it.
And that's the threat that's here. Everybody's not for you. Sometimes it's just here to see what you're doing. And that's clear here. The NYPD is not against, they're not immune to this. And so, you ain't immune to it. So you don't think that Chinese man is paying attention, the niggas that own a Chinese restaurant, you don't think they paying attention to what's going on around there? Who coming in and out?
No, they're individuals. They're not a monolith.
Yeah.
Chinese aren't a monolith.
Do they got a strategy? Because we spoke about the strategy of the Chinese, this year in terms of, their president coming out saying that, they were going to be more aggressive and be more, out front as to what they're doing. And, basically they quest for being the most dominant economy pretty much. So they was going to be aggressive with it. It didn't matter. There's no more covertness to it in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So, this could be a byproduct of it where they're just being more aggressive and getting guys, getting people out in different organizations and things like that. But it also
you ready for it?
That who else it sounds like?
You ready for it?
What other group that sound like? Go ahead.
No, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
BBC, September 24th, 2020.
Oh, before you go, because I didn't think you were going to switch. What other group that sound like? They infiltrated shit to get power.
Oh, well. Crackers?
The Jews.
Oh, them goddamn.
Sound like some Jews. Sound like the Jews, right?
Boy, you know it, boy.
Go for it, man.
You already know. Because you know what happened is, when you know you ain't really powerful, you got to use other strategies to get in. Everything not
right,
brute.
to get there. To get there.
Now watch this. This is tie into what you said. To everything you said, right? Watch this. BBC. One day, everyone will use China's digital currency. Right? Now watch this. Where's that? Watch this. Chandler Guo, Guo, right? Or gold, whatever, was a pioneer in cryptocurrency, the digital currency that can be created and used independently of national central banks and governments. In 2014, he set up an operation to produce one of those currencies, Bitcoin, in a secret location in Western China. Mining Bitcoin is a power-hungry enterprise involving dozens of computers, so he used power from a hydroelectric station in partnership with a local Chinese government official. At its peak, his machines were capable of mining 30% of the world's Bitcoin. He believed Bitcoin would one day change the world and replace the dollar. But now he sees a new force emerging, a payment system created by the Chinese state and known as digital currency electronic payment, or DCEP, DCEP. DCEP, right? DCEP, right? Wow. So it's really
you know this shit going on. You about to rob us.
Yeah. This shit crazy, yo.
You about to rob us.
It goes,
oh,
it's really a digital version of China's official currency, the yuan. And Mr. Gu, Guo, feels DCEP, DCEP, will become the dominant global currency. One day, everyone in the world will be using DCEP, he said. DCEP will be successful because there are a lot of Chinese people living outside of China. There are 39 million Chinese living outside of the country. If they have a connection with China, they will use the DCEP. They can make DCEP become an international currency. But many question whether it will succeed, and there are concerns that it will be used by Beijing to spy on citizens. Go ahead, Smoke. Yes, understand? Yeah.
Oh, well, not really, but I mean, it's just like the level of thought process of the people. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's like the Chinese, they're already thinking of a way to undermine every other currency. Like, fuck that, we gonna make our currency the leading shit. They're gonna take shots at it. If this shit don't work, then we're gonna try something else. If that don't work, we're gonna try.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the shit that they thinking about. It's like we thinking about the newest iPhone that they made. You know what I'm saying? We thinking about the newest, the basketball game or some other shit. And we speak about, the not having the lack of economy, but it's just amazing, like, when you see what's going on with with people who have a strategy. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to big up anybody individually. When you have a strategy and you got people that's going to employ that strategy, things are going to happen for you.
A winning
so you
strategy.
Got Say that again?
Yeah, winning strategy. No, I said a winning strategy.
Right, exactly.
Because, see, their strategy is brilliant. They make the products, right? Their people is outside the country, 39 million of them. Now, within China is already 1 billion. within China, they could come out with some bullshit ass movie, and it becomes a global hit because of China watching it their own shit. And America is like, yo, we need that market to sell there because we want all of them to do what? Buy our shit too.
Right.
But what the Chinese is doing is like, no, we want some buy Chinese, support Chinese shit. So once the Chinese overseas is there, because you got Chinese that don't connect to China. You know what I'm saying? Because they might be Americanized, they might be Europeanized, they might be something else. But what happened is none of that matter, because you can also always get a generation that's going to want to connect to the Chinese culture, and that's how you'll get them to the DCEP currency coin. You're going to have the Chinese who is down for their culture, who's overseas. Now, let's say, Smoke, you chilling with your Chinese homeboy, right? And he's now like, hey, come on to Chinatown with me. I want to show you something. And you're like, all right. And now you go to Chinatown and they have some video game. And he's like, yo, the graphics here is fucking sick. And it's like, yo, what you need, what you use to buy it? Oh, you got to get paid with DCEP. Well, what's that? Yo, this is that new currency. That's how you introducing people to the shit, because if I have to buy something that China has and they're forcing me to use their currency to purchase it, then guess what? I'm going to end up using American currency and Chinese currency until after a while you're going to be like, I can get more and better, quote, better shit using the Chinese currency than the American currency, and that's going to slowly push that battle.
Yeah, it's going to be necessary to buy their shit. And as soon as they put something on the market that people really want or really need, they're going to want to indulge in that shit. Like, hold up, son.
Yep.
Nah, son, we got to get that game. You need that DCEP. They calling their bank like, hold up, how we get that, son? And then, you know, that's how it is. You know, the Chinese, they always
remember
some shit. So, you know, like, they got
remember,
like, we got
digital. Remember, digital currency. So I don't got to make paper.
Yeah. Didn't the whole world just turn to digital?
Yeah. So I don't got to use paper. So Smoke could be in the state. Smoke could be in the state he in, transferring American cash into DCEP, and then using the DCEP money to purchase shit on the fucking Chinese market.
Yeah, and they tell you it's safe.
To the point,
you know, it's safer. You make sure you get your stuff. You're like, all right, let me use that DCEP. As soon as you send it the other way, money get lost. You're like, oh, hell no. Yeah, they like DCEP, touch me, get it, sign up, however it works. Next thing you know, you use it.
Because you know how that shit goes? They're going to do whatever they can and pull whatever punches to get you caught up into that. And once you get caught up into that, then it's going to be like, yeah, we off the American dollar. Why? Because the shit that you can buy with the American dollar, nobody wants. Everything that everybody wants, you have to use DCEP. So after a while, they're going to be like, we might as well just all transfer just over to DCEP because nobody uses the American dollar because there's nothing innovative about that's the future. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So as that pushes on to go forward, Black America, Black global population, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is our game plan? They're not hiding it because they know we're powerless. But what is the game plan? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And then we're going to complain about how we're treated. So we're okay with our oppression. You know what I'm saying, Smoke? We're okay with our oppression.
Yeah.
The problem, we're just mad about how we're treated during the oppression. That's what the problem is. We want to be oppressed. We just don't want to be treated bad while being oppressed. And that's the conclusion I come to. The shit makes no sense. I get sick and tired of reading all this advancement from other groups while my people still spin around in a circle, lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. So they say, like Bitcoin,
they're doing the period challenge.
You said what?
I said you got our people doing the period challenge and all them stupid challenges. And
yeah.
Shit. That's what we're doing.
Fire, water, pyramid schemes, and all kind of weird shit we doing and shit.
Yeah,
but everybody else is coming up.
So,
yeah, come on, man.
We
got to do better. So they like the blockchain act. So they say the blockchain acts. All right, they say like Bitcoin, DCEP utilizes a blockchain technology, a type of digitalized ledger used to verify transactions. Blockchain acts as a universal record of every transaction ever made on that network, and users collaborate to verify new transactions when they occur. In practice, that means users do not need a bank if, for example, they want to pay each other, perhaps with their phones. China plans to launch DCEP later this year. But so far, the People's Bank of China has not given an exact date for the nationwide launch. China began testing the digital currency earlier this year in selected cities. When rolled out, it will allow users to link downloaded electronic wallets to their bank cards, make transactions, and transfer money. It's hard to predict the timeline, but the People's Bank of China is under a lot of pressure to accelerate the development because they do not want to be in a world where Libra, Facebook's digital currency, becomes the global currency. So do you hear that, black people? The People's Bank of China is under a lot of pressure to accelerate the development because they don't want to be in a world where Libra, which is Facebook's digital currency, becomes the global currency, which they think is worse than the current global financial system controlled by the U.S., says Ling Hao Bio, whatever, and analysts from Beijing-based Trivium. Observers say China wants to internationalize the yuan so that it can compete with the dollar. And didn't I say that, Smoke?
Yes.
Thing the white people have, the Chinese say, I want a Chinese version of it. You see that? So when I'm saying for black people, we need to build an economy, that's what I'm talking about. When you asking, well, how do we build an economy? How do we build an economy? Just look at everybody else's economy and mimic it. Mimic it. That's it. You ain't got to rebuild the wheel. That's exactly how China got into power. Just by whatever, they just mimicked America. Whatever America had, they mimicked it. That's it. Facebook got Libra. They have DCEP. You know what I'm saying? Why they came out with DCEP? They said because they don't want to come live in a world where Libra becomes the global currency. So they're not sitting around waiting. Yeah. They said we're going to do something. You get it? Like, come on, man. Come on. But no, we sitting around on silly shit. Silly shit. Here's some silly shit right here, Smoke.
Oh, Lord.
This from Reuters. U.S. housing head Carson notes suggests friction with Trump aid task with ensuring loyalty. So there goes Atlanta Reuters. House and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson scripted a complaint to President Donald Trump about how the presidential personal office is handling his agency. Notes seen by reporters on Friday's show. Carson spoke at a Black economic empowerment event organized by Trump re-elected campaign at an Atlanta conference center ahead of Trump. Reporters watched on the television screen in the guest room, got a partial up-close view of talking points typed on the back of Carson's speech. In the notes to be complaining about Trump's aide, John McEntee, head of the presidential personal office, referred to the notes as PPO. Part of the notes were obscured by Carson's microphone. Mr. President, I am your friend. I am very loyal to you. I am, and after you win, I am eligible to stay in your administration. I am not happy with the way PPO is handling my agency. I like John and respect, but I can't see what it says. He is doing. However, I am sensing a severe lack of trust with some of but the rest was covered with a mic. Trump has tasked McEntee with assuring loyalty among senior aides and cabinet agencies, an administration source said. The White House declined to comment, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's something else. Yeah, they're doing a lot of zooming in on people letters and shit like that. But yeah, that's Ben Carson. He like, yo, keep me in the loop, man. Shit, you know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you're never gonna win being part of their group. We have to strengthen our group. But no, we want to try to be strong in their group, and you can't. You can't. You will never win. You're not winning that game. But we don't get it, Smoke. Look at this. This is a quick title. With his prostitution charges dropped, Patriots owner Robert Kraft decimated the NFL personal conduct probe. This dude gets this. You know the only reason why that shit happened and shit like that because he was doing the Black Lives Matter, right? Wasn't he was showing support? He was, right?
Yeah, with Meek Mill. He was with Meek Mill.
Yeah. He was showing that, the prison reform and all that shit like that. And the next thing you know, he ended up getting the fucking sex charge shit. Then clearly he did a little about face and, you know what I'm saying, talking to his people and shit like that. Now the judge ended up not allowing the tape that proved that his guilt into the courthouse. And because there's no tape, they threw out the case. Oh, okay. And guess what? That's how their system works. So if this is how their system works, where is our counter argument? Where's our counter group? How long do we keep on complaining about the treatment and we're not having counter arguments? If I'm sitting over here now and I'm seeing people trying to, you know what I'm saying, keep breaking into my house or something like that, I'm not going to keep complaining about it. I'm going to have a counter argument. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to have a counter argument. And that's my whole point. Like, where's your counter argument? You got these white cops killing black people. Where's the black cops? Where's the black cops? We saying black women is dying in these hospitals. Where's our black hospitals? We saying we don't have the food. We have food droughts and shit like that, deserts and shit like that in our communities and things. Where's the black grocery stores? These aren't problems. These are job opportunities. These are career opportunities. These are industries that should be being built, not complaining because they're not there. If they're not there, then common sense should kick in and say, oh, okay, that means there's an opening. There's an opening. And if there's an opening, then that means we can take advantage. You know what I'm saying? But we don't get that shit. We don't get that shit, yo. And then we're going to go another 100 years following the same backwards logic. Why? Because like Booker T. Washington said, there's a class of us who benefits off of highlighting the issues going on in the black community and what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? It's a oh, they said ESPN, but they're talking about Jalen Rose, right? They said ESPN cuts off the analyst Jalen Rose as he called for the arrest of the cops in the Breonna Taylor case.
Oh,
yeah.
I gotta see that shit.
Yeah, I just read that shit. They're talking about fresh off his controversial visit to Jamaica, Kanye arrives in Haiti. So he's going to Haiti and shit like that now. And it's just like I said, Kanye ain't crazy. Kanye may not know how to deliver what it is that he's trying to present. But like I keep on saying, when it comes to Kanye West, I haven't heard anybody say yet, you know what I'm saying, what he said wrong, what he did wrong. You may not like his perception on something. You may not like how he said something. What he said wrong.
Kanye
we gotta get out of our
Kanye's whole goal is to break through the fashion industry, and that nigga doing that shit. It's slow. It ain't as fast as what he said, what he want, and that's his whole argument. Like somebody should just put him on.
Yeah.
But he getting there.
Yeah.
He's slowly getting them $1 billion. He's slowly getting there. He's slowly getting there. That Yeezy brand is going crazy. He got the shit with Gap coming up.
He's doing all of that, but guess what? Guess why he might be going to Jamaica, and guess why he might be going to Haiti? Build a factory.
I was just working factory.
You know what I'm saying? So if he goes over there and he get his shit built overseas in black nations, so is that not a pro-black approach? We calling him a coon? That's more than even what Jay-Z did. You calling him a coon? That's more than what LeBron did. You calling him a coon? You know what I'm saying? Our whole perspective is crazy. Go ahead.
I was just saying, that would be fire if that's what he's doing over there.
Yeah.
Doing some shit, but that's along the lane of what he's trying to do. So that makes sense.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, we so busy worrying about these athletes and shit. We're not supposed to worry about them. They're supposed to be dominating on the level in which they're supposed to be dominating at. And we're supposed to be dominating on the level in which we're supposed to be dominating at. We're not supposed to cross-reference and, what you doing and what you doing. Nah. Because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, if we're not worrying about where we want to see our race end up at, or whatever, then what we fighting about? What we fighting about?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let me tell you, man, this is what we're dealing with. Four people has been charged after a black man's body was found burnt in an Iowa ditch. So there goes. 4 people charged Tuesday in connection to the killing of Michael Ronell Williams, a black man whose body was found burning in a ditch in rural Iowa on September 16th. Steve Vogel, who police said knew Williams, has been charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. 3 others were charged with abuse of corpse, destruction of evidence, and accessory after the fact. Though Williams was black and all 3 of the suspects are white, police said there is no evidence to indicate that race was a motivating factor in the murder. The police of the local NAACP chapter said, however, we understand the fear this kind of incidents evoke. 4 people were charged, found dead in a ditch. Stephen Vocals, 31. They said he was acquaintance to Williams. He was charged with first-degree murder. Julia Cox, 55, Roy Lee Garner, 57, and Cody Johnson, 29, has also been charged in connection to the discovery of Williams' body. They each face charges of abuse of a corpse and accessory after the fact. Cox and Garner face an additional charge of destruction of evidence. And they said, despite all suspects being white and the victim being black, there's no evidence to say the murder was motivated by race. They're saying they don't know what prompted the killing, but according to Vogel's arrest affidavit, a witness told police that Vogel attempted to strangle William 4 days before the burning body was found. They rolled him up in like a fucking... All right, so they say Cox and Garner told investigators that they helped Vogel disposal of a long wrapped-up object on September 16th. Garner described it as being wrapped up in a rug, while Cox said it was wrapped up in a blanket. Afterward, they said that they dropped Vogel at his sister's house and then went to a rural area in Tama County where they disposed of the remaining items in Gardner's vehicles, including bleach bottles and rubber gloves. The police Tuesday press conference was held in conjunction with the Iowa-Nebraska chapter of the NAACP, whose president, Betty Andrews, said she had seen the evidence and agreed that it doesn't appear to be race-motivated hate. Given that the current climate where racial justice is on the front burner for so many, we understand the fear this kind of incident evokes. So how interesting is that, Smoke? So 4 people, white people, strangled and killed this black man, burn him up, wrap him up in a blanket, leave him in a fucking ditch. And the NAACP says, according to the evidence that she saw, it doesn't appear to be racially motivated. And then made sure she said, and this is the telltale sign, we understand the fear this kind of incidents evoke. Meaning, we understand the type of fear this incident evokes, so we don't want to stoke that fear, so we're going to say it wasn't racially motivated. These fucking hillbillies, you guys see the picture? It wasn't racially motivated. It was just an old regular duty killing of a black man. Like I don't get what she was even indicating with that, because I'm trying to figure out what you could do to a gay person that a gay organization would say, yeah, I seen the evidence, and I don't think they did that because he's gay. I want to see a Jewish organization that you do, like you burn down a synagogue, and they'd be like, I seen the evidence of the burn, and I don't think he burned it because it was a Jewish synagogue.
You want to be
you know
fair.
Like this,
so fair.
I know that it stokes fear in the hearts of all you Jewish people, but I don't think this is the reason why. No, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't get that. How do you have 4 white people strangle and murder this black man, burn his fucking body, wrap him up. So what is the evidence you saw that made you just, you looking at his crisp body, you know what I'm saying, and you just like, yeah, it don't look racially motivated. It looks like an old typical murder.
It just looks
I don't get it.
White people, typical white murder. I got you.
Like, come on, man. And it's the NAACP.
With 4
this
people,
is the NAACP. So let me. So
it
here's
was
the
fucking
question.
lynching.
Yeah. If it was one, okay, I guess they saying the other 4 came as a accessory to help, you know, with the body. Only one person strangled them and killed them. But hear what I say with that. So you murdering people and people just saying, I'm just gonna help you dispose of all of this is just kosher and cool. Like, fuck out of here, man. Because again, you telling me if that wasn't a black man, if that was a legal immigrant, right, who got choked out, burnt up, call my other 3 homies, they come wrap the body up and we dispose it on the side of the road. They're not going to put a spin on there about illegal immigration and Latinos and immigrants and Trump's rhetoric and, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. If that was a gay person who was strangled and killed and body burnt up, a tranny, a gay person, a tranny, strangled, burnt up, wrapped up in a rug and stuff, and the homeboys came and helped dispose of the body. You telling me that a gay organization is going to say the evidence that I see does not indicate this? Yeah, like, come on, man. Stop playing games, yo. But, yo, we about to get ready to get up out of here. But before we leave, I just seen a call, so let's get this last call in.
All right.
4490, what's the name?
Yeah.
Where you calling from?
Yeah,
what's
I'm
going
in
on?
Atlanta. Hey, shit,
all right.
Cooler. You know how I go.
What's going on, man?
But yeah, man. No, ain't nothing, man. Cooler. Friday night. Got a little brew, sitting back. But
yeah.
The thing with the NAACP, like, we always got to remember this, it's a volunteer organization. So in some cities, you might meet a NAACP that's militant as hell, that's progressive, that's black first, and all of that. And you go to another city, it might be the most bougie black people you ever met. So the NAACP, I confuse those corrupt organizations all the time. Sorry about that. But the NAACP, for what it is, you always got to remember, you have to measure it by the city that it's in, because then you get an idea about what type of black folk you're talking about that's running it. Now, in this situation, especially in Iowa, what you got to consider is black people are always playing defense in places like Iowa. Like, no matter what, this is a completely, overtly racist place. They're operating out of defense at all times. So what are they going to do? They're going to move slowly on everything. So are they going to add hate crime to the list for the murder charge and everything else? Not initially, because what? They're waiting on the smoking gun where this dude is on social media like F these N-words and da-da-da-da-da-da. They're going to wait for a smoking gun like that before they make a statement, because in a place like Iowa, you know what happens? They show pictures of that guy with his black friends and say, this guy's not a racist. They're trying to inject race into a conversation that doesn't exist. So, sometimes we got to be careful, because we got to know what our people are dealing with when they're dealing with white folks.
Right.
Now, the second thing, your boy Ye. Now look, man, I want y'all to understand what's going on in Haiti right now. The president
Wait. Before you get into that one, let me stick to the first one. That's a good point, because I didn't know that, and that gives a better understanding how Rachel Dozier, whatever her last name is, was able to get into an NAACP organization and be the head. Because, like you're saying, if you're in a state where they're not as militant and they're really slack, then it's like that type of stuff could happen. So it gives a better understanding of how that could happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you said that. But yeah, if you go into number 2.
Right. She out there in the middle of the white wilderness, like, yeah, she could be doing people hair, braiding hair and all kind of other stuff, and nobody asking any questions. You put her in Detroit or Chicago, and somebody at some point say, she ain't black. Like, that comes up early in the game. And you see what I'm saying?
Right.
You put her out there where you got some, you know what I mean? What can we say? Sheltered black folk? Where some of them like, well, I guess she right. She went to a HBCU. She must be. You know what I mean? And that's how she ran the con. Now, the Haiti thing, okay. The president right now, he's one of the, 11 elected officials that's standing in Haiti right now. They got rid of Parliament. We're ruling with an iron fist. There's been riots and revolts everywhere. They want him to go. So this is typical Haiti, U.S. puppet operating in U.S. faction. Now, what is the problem with Haiti? You know, going back to a few years ago, this goes back to the Clinton Foundation, where the Clinton Foundation was supporting Levi and some of these other factories that were basically paying slave labor wages down in Haiti, and the people revolted after they pushed Aristide out of office. So, like, y'all remember back in the day where they made that brother leave, installed their puppet leader, and we got back to the same old colonial plantation type ish. So, Ye going over there in Jamaica is probably not a good sign, because if he is getting involved in factory, as far as garments and all that other type of stuff, man, we're talking about some of the lowest wages on the globe and exploiting the people who have already, caught hell for the past 100 years just dealing with the U.S. in general. So that kind of piqued my interest when you said that. That was why I called in. I was like, oh, shit, Ye's down there, and he's just in Jamaica. Yeah, that is a connection that he's probably trying to make. And with those, U.S. favorable puppet leaders in place, he could damn sure get it, because that's a good deal for them. They could be on TV with Kanye. They can present it as if they're creating jobs when they're actually just transferring jobs from one slave wage paying factory to another, and they can play that well. You know what I'm saying? So that one kind of, like, oh, shit, Ye. Don't let these people play you, Ye. So hopefully Ye peep game as it starts to get closer to crunch time. But the thing about Ye, say what you want to say about him. I got a lot of problems with that brother. I don't think that brother could see all those black people in the streets trying to shut shit down and change shit over there, and then decide he gonna roll with the organization, roll with that local government. It's like, remember The Godfather, where your boy Mike's like, yo, open a casino. I see people in the street. Street over here. Looks like we got a revolution brewing. So same type of ish, man. But overall, man, I just wanted to call in and say my little piece on that, man.
Man, we appreciate it. We appreciate it every time.
For sure.
We appreciate it every time.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Peace. Yeah, we at the end of it now. It's 11:13. So you got anything you want to shut it down with, Smoke?
No. You know what I'm saying? Another good show. Shout out to the caller just now and at the last minute. You know what I mean? But yeah, good points made. And shit, it was a good show.
Yeah. So again, next week we'll be back. Go to the YouTube, in Black America Radio. Support the show on the CashApp, BLACKWADADALLC. That's BLACKWADADALLC.